Hello and welcome to our English news coming to you from Canal Algérie. First, the top stories of the news. The so-called Algerian opposition acting on social media based abroad and manipulated by foreign entities is finger-pointed by the Quotidien d'Oran newspaper. The latest UN Trade and Development Conference report highlights the important increase in Algeria's global economic and direct foreign investments. France in dire times with a policy manipulated by the far-right party at the heart of the current office. And the pro-Zionist party in Morocco is fueling tensions in the country as normalization is deemed as a betrayal to the Palestinian cause. First in our news, we kick off today's edition with the latest column of Le Quotidien d'Oran signed by Mustafa Agoun, in which he denounced the drift of what he termed as so-called Algerian opposition, mainly active on social media. Melissa Kebash tells us more.
In his column, Mustafa Agoun regrets the disappearance of a worthy opposition founded by principles, recognition and patriotism. It was a hand extended to the people, not to the doors of embassies. It is now replaced, according to the same columnist, by remote-guided opposition motivated by financial interests. The author accuses certain misguiding voices of being financed by the Moroccan Makhzen and the United Arab Emirates, considered by him as a force willing to weaken Algeria. According to Mr. Agoun, this opposition acts not to improve or reform the country, but to discredit it by using lies, insults and viral videos without suggesting any alternatives. He also criticizes the lack of political culture of these so-called opponents, as they do not recognize the state's institutions, nor they understand economic challenges and manipulating patriotic speech. Mr. Agoun sees a destabilizing enterprise managed from the outside, which some participants found it as an opportunity to trade principles for profit. The author called for a genuine opposition, an informed and constructive one, rooted in the history and Algerian reality, capable of correcting without betraying. He ended his column with a warning: Algeria has a memory and will distinguish sincere opponents of manipulated influencers.
Economy now, with the latest UN report on global investments that highlights the positive results reached by Algeria, with a noticeable increase in the direct foreign investment by 18%. More details with Yassine Hamdi.
According to the latest United Nations Trade and Development Conference report entitled Global Investment in Digital Economy, the direct foreign investments increased by 18% and reached $1.43 billion in 2024 compared to 2023. This positive result reflects the legislative reforms in the investment law and Algeria's strong will to diversify its non-hydrocarbon economy by focusing on the sectors of industry, agriculture, tourism and renewable energy. The report highlights the noticeable improvements of the infrastructure, such as the ports, the transport networks, and the energy connections that facilitate commercial exchanges, as well as the implementation of digital tools to simplify the investment procedures. In addition to that, the report showed Algeria's political will to improve the business environment and mentioned its adherence to continental and international agreements, such as the African Continental Free Trade Area, to strengthen the country's strategic position as a regional platform and a gate to Africa and Europe.
To another story now, and under the aegis of Prime Minister Nadir Al-Arabawi, the State Participation Council held a meeting pursuant to the President's decisions relating to the creation of a national airlines company dedicated to domestic flights. The shares of Tassili, company relevant to Sonatrach, have been transferred to Air Algérie Airlines Company. This important operation is part of a development strategy meant to make the country's regions closer and upgrade the transport services to the benefit of citizens. Prime Minister Nadir Al-Arabawi chaired as well a cabinet meeting devoted to the upcoming school year and the availability of school articles with affordable prices. A presentation pertaining to the harvest operation was made, highlighting the excellent harvest, notably in the southern provinces. The preparations for the upcoming sowing and plowing operation were also tackled. The running of the summer season was reviewed as part of a policy meant to ensure comfortable conditions for vacationers and holiday makers. And on behalf of the President of the Republic, Abdel Tebboune, the Speaker of the Council of the Nation, Aziz Nasser, extended at the premises of the Nigerian Embassy here in Algiers condolences following the death of former President Muhammadu Buhari, while expressing solidarity with the Nigerian people during this painful ordeal and stressing the brotherly and friendly relations linking both countries. To another news also, the State Secretary to Foreign Affairs Minister in charge of African Affairs, Selma Bakhta Mansouri, co-chaired on Wednesday the opening session of the Algerian-Zimbabwean Joint Cooperation Commission, headed by Zimbabwe's Permanent Secretary for Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Albert Chimbende. Earlier in the day, the two sides held talks during which they tackled bilateral relations, strategic partnership to better serve Africa's integration. Also in the news, the 44th General Meeting of the Development Bank Shelter Afrique is still ongoing. For its second day, workshops and meetings gathered experts of housing sector intensified with the aim of finding solutions to the problems facing this vital sector. Details with Melissa Kabash.
For the second day of the Development Bank Shelter Afrique's annual general meeting, workshops intensified to come up with concrete solutions likely to solve the housing sector's current problems on the continental level.
C'est une question stratégique.
Housing financing is a strategic issue, and today we have a deficit of 52 million housing units in Africa, and with this figure we need at least $1,000 billion. Therefore, we need to mobilize institutions such as Shelter Afrique to have financial resources and boost the entire sector.
Pour pouvoir faire un effet de levier pour financer tout le secteur.
C'est un événement assez innovant parce que ça permet.
The event is very innovative because it allows many experts to meet and find innovative solutions and display our sovereignty over the African continent when it comes to building materials and innovative infrastructure.
Continent africain en question de matériaux de construction et d'infrastructures innovantes.
The event was indeed an opportunity for the sector stakeholders to exchange ideas and investment opportunities between both state and private sectors.
Donc c'est une expérience à partager avec.
It is an experience to share with other African countries, and Côte d'Ivoire is in favor of this type of sharing. I've evoked earlier that beyond meetings with the state sector, we wish to invite actors from the private sector to Algeria and hopefully achieve exchanges between Algerian and Ivorian operators.
Et à commercer entre Algériens et Ivoiriens.
C'est l'expérience algérienne.
The Algerian experience truly inspired many African countries. I largely appreciated the number of housing units, 200,000 units per year.
1000 logements par an, c'est vraiment énorme.
Crucial strategies for beefing up Africa's housing sector were also evoked. Algeria's presence further strengthened the talks due to its experience within the sector, held by numerous delegations present at this timely event.
The Secretary General of the Foreign Affairs Ministry, Lounas Magraman, representing the Foreign Affairs Minister, took part in the emergency ministerial meeting devoted to the serious violations of international law committed by the Zionist occupation army against the Palestinian people. The meeting, held in Bogota, reviewed the latest developments, notably the terrible humanitarian situation. Taking the floor, Magraman stressed the necessity to step up international efforts to end this aggression, in addition to the excess of humanitarian aid. He also called for recognizing a Palestinian state. The same speaker called for holding the Zionist occupier responsible of this crime and reiterated Algeria's staunch commitment to back Palestinian cause within the UN Security Council. Algeria strongly condemned the Zionist aggression on Syria, according to a communique released by the Foreign Affairs Ministry, which deemed it as a blatant violation of the UN Charter and the international law, expressing on the same occasion its solidarity with Syria to maintain its security and stability. Algeria called on the UN Security Council to shoulder its responsibility to end these frequent aggressions jolting the whole region. And as part of consolidating cooperation between the state institutions, the State Secretary in charge of the National Community Abroad, Soufiane Chehib, and the Post and Communication Minister, Sid Ali Zarqi, signed an agreement to put in place a system to validate online administrative documents to be used abroad. According to Soufiane Chehib, this move of facilitating consular services is at the heart of the state concerns. You're still watching Canal Algérie. Coming up in our news. Bejaia, the jewel of the Mediterranean Sea, is flocked by tourists and holiday makers to discover its rich patrimony, notably the Kasbah, or the ancient city, the cradle of past civilizations. Welcome back to the weekly report of the People's National Army, which carried out several successful operations over the past week, denoting the vigilance, professionalism and readiness of the PNA throughout the national territory. In terms of fighting organised crime, units of the PNA, in coordination with different security services, intercepted 43 drug traffickers and thwarted attempts to introduce more than 3 quintals of processed cannabis on the Moroccan border and seized 93 kilograms of cocaine, in addition to psychotropic tablets. A detachment of the PNA arrested also 308 people in Tamrast, Angizam, Borbaji Mukhtar, in Salah, Janet and Elysee, and seized equipment used in illegal operations and other products intended for speculation and smuggling. And finally, coastal guards foiled attempts of illegal immigration through the national territory and rescued 58 immigrants of different nationalities using dignities. In France, the François Bayrou plan is not welcomed by the French people. The Workers' Confederation calls for mobilization and the opponents denounce the unfair and dangerous measures. Yassine Hamdi with the latest developments.
Caught up between European debts and accumulated deficits, France is now entering an unprecedented austerity era, a result of a policy guided by the far right at the heart of the political power. The austerity plan unveiled this week by François Bayrou through the 2026 budget project is presented as an economic reform, but it fully reflects the far-right ideology that prefers numbers over solidarity, which weakens the social cohesion. Today, Brussels describes France as a terrible student suffering in the euro area, with a public debt that reached 3,345 billion euros and a deficit that keeps dangerously increasing. This situation was highlighted by the High Council of Public Finance that warned against the austerity plan, which will increase the unemployment rate that may reach 9%. The year 2026 is going to be extremely difficult. No increase in pensions and no revaluation of social aids. The retirements in the public sector won't be replaced, and several governmental agencies will be removed in one hand, and on the other hand, a symbolic contribution on large fortunes in France will be introduced. The suggestion to delay 2 days of public holidays logically showcases the economic state of emergency. In fact, this austerity policy is not an economic choice, but an ideological one made by the far right that believes that social sacrifice is the best way to protect the interests of the wealthiest ones, instead of strengthening solidarity among the French people.
Yes, and Hamdi reporting on the situation unfolding in France. Still in the international arena, the Makhzen's closest ties with the Zionist entity and the emergence of Morocco's first pro-normalization party are sparking anger among citizens who fear a betrayal of the country's political legacy and a crackdown on the opposition members. Melissa Lila-Balaman with more details.
The Moroccans are experiencing a deep feeling of betrayal because of the Zionist entity's growing influence over the Makhzen's decisions. This interference has paved the way for new political groups that openly push for closer ties and normalization.
By setting up Tamghribi, the country's first pro-Zionist party, the Makhzen is making it clear that it wants political fractions in place to defend Zionist interests. This party does not fight for Moroccan citizens. Instead, it serves foreign powers.
Recognizing the gravity of the situation, many citizens are pushing back, determined to stand together against outside meddling and any move to legitimize ties with what they call a criminal state.
Normalizing relations amounts to betraying Moroccans and turning our backs on the legacy of the national liberation struggle. As long as the ruling system sticks to this course, it stands against the people's wishes.
Yet that popular pushback is being crushed by the Makhzen, which does not hesitate to use questionable or forceful measures to stifle critics who reject normalization.
Back to Algeria's BJ's Kasbah is coming alive once more, a bridge between the past and present day, where artisans and visitors celebrate a rich living heritage. Coverage by Raouf Hamouche, taken up by Melissa Lila-Balaman.
Long weathered by time, Béjaïa's Kasbah is now reclaiming its place in the city's heart, revived by the dedication of archaeologists, artisans, and visitors drawn to its rich history. Declared a National Historic Monument in 1967, the citadel's walls have silently witnessed the passing of centuries and the many eras that shaped Béjaïa. Today, meticulous restoration efforts aim to turn the site into a bridge, one that connects a storied past to a present and a future built on pride.
Elle fut construite en 1154.
It was built in 1154, in the middle of the 12th century, by the Almohad Caliph Abdelmumin bin Ali. Over the centuries, the Kasbah of Béjaïa welcomed many great minds, among them Ibn Khaldun and even Leonardo Fibonacci, the Italian mathematician. I share the Kasbah's story, I explain the buildings inside these walls, and I tell the visitors about other sites that surround Béjaïa.
Je raconte l'histoire de la Kasbah, j'essaie d'expliquer les différents édifices qui sont à l'intérieur de la Kasbah, l'histoire et les informer aussi sur d'autres sites qui entourent la ville de Béjaïa.
Hidden in the hills above the city, this long overlooked gem is drawing in curious visitors who are often surprised by what lies behind its walls.
Honestly, I had no idea Béjaïa even had a Kasbah. I always thought the only one was in Algiers. I'm amazed. It's stunning. We should talk about it more.
Today, the Kasbah is no longer just a monument frozen in time. Its old chambers now shelter local artisans who breathe new life into traditional crafts, showcasing skills passed down through generations.
Before I used to work at home. Now, here I meet people from all over. I show them what I make, I tell them the story behind each piece. It's a real showcase for local craft.
On s'est taxé pour venir ici à la Kasbah parce que
We pulled out our money to come here to the Kasbah because so many visitors come, migrants, tourists, even people from other parts of the country. Béjaïa is steeped in history, so we thought, why not celebrate its roots with this prickly pear that grows here?
plus fameuse en Algérie.
Within these ancient walls, a once forgotten heritage is being reborn. In Béjaïa, the Kasbah is no longer a relic. It is open, generous, and alive once more, carrying memories of the past and the promise of a future built with care and pride.
Béjaïa, an enchanting and mesmerizing city indeed. With this we come to the end of our news bulletin. Tomorrow another day, other news. Keep tuning to our channel and programs. Take care. Bye-bye for now.